It has been a busy week in the NFL now. I already put up a Derek Carr video. If you want to put that, I'll put in the description if you want to watch that one. But this week we've had Derek Carr going to the Saints. We've had Daniel Jones re-signing for one of the most ridiculous contracts you'll ever see in the sport, going back to the Giants. I'm not going to speak on that in this one. And the biggest news of all, which we're going to talk about now, is the Chicago Bears trading the #1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers. Now, first of all, I'm going to put out, in my eyes, I'm going to explain why later. I think this is their move of saying to Justin Fields that they think Justin Fields is the guy to get them to a Super Bowl. Everyone wasn't sure if they, at #1, were they going to go with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or now Anthony Richardson? Were they going to move on from Justin Fields after the struggles they've had in Chicago? It's not his fault. Most of it's not his fault. But you saw his jump in the second year. So, to my eyes, this trade, I'm going to go through the trade now, is why Chicago think that he can be their, either maybe not MVP candidate, but is the quarterback that's going to be there for the future. He's going to be the one to get them to the Super Bowl. Looking at the trade, the Chicago Bears got, in return for the #1 pick, Carolina sent them the 9th overall pick in this year's draft, the number 61 overall pick in this draft. So that's a first and a second in this year's draft. They got a first rounder for next year and a second round for the year after that. And also another piece which is massive for Justin Fields right now is the DJ Moore inclusion. DJ Moore has been the best receiver for Carolina for about 4 straight seasons. He's had 1,000 yards in, I think, 2 out of those 4. Is it 2? Sorry, my notes are to the left. Where did I write it? 1,000 yards in 2 of those years. He's been the best receiver in Carolina, so that's a massive loss for whoever is going to be a new quarterback in Carolina. Probably going to look at, I imagine this solidifies Bryce Young as #1 overall pick. I don't think we're making this big massive move up from 9 all the way to 1 for Carolina to take a Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud. Bryce Young is now going to be a Carolina Panther in my prediction. But this is, what point was I making? But DJ Moore. DJ Moore has been the best wide receiver in Carolina for a good few years now, and now he's arguably the best wide receiver that Justin Fields had in his first 2 years of the NFL. Now, we had Allen Robinson for his first year, but we know how that went. He wasn't really schemed into it. Ended up last season going to the Rams, and now he's probably bought out again. So Darnell Mooney was probably the best guy he actually had, considering he was his leading receiver, not this year, but the year before. He had 1,000 yards in Fields' rookie year. So that's massive. But DJ Moore has this versatility where he is mainly an wide receiver. That was harder to say than I thought it would. But he also can play in the slot. He is 5'10" or 5'11", so he has the size and speed to work in the slot. But massively last year, he came on, contested catches, showed he can be the guy where if, like what the carousel that quarterbacks were like in Carolina last year, that he can be trusted. So that's a massive thing for Justin Fields, because right now, Darren Mooney has his ups and downs, and Cole Kmet came on last year. But when you look at who they have now, their offense now has DJ Moore, obviously, who can play the slot or the X. You Darnell Mooney, who's come on a lot, mostly playing the slot. Chase Claypool, who I think they extended him. They have Equanimous St. Brown, who can do bits and bobs every now and then, I guess. Khalil Herbert came on a lot last year, where you saw he was probably favoured over David Montgomery, who was a good back, but Khalil is just more versatility in the pass game, and you can see he makes guys miss a bit more than Khalil Herbert, then David Montgomery, who's more of a downhill runner. And then Cole Kmet, who was their receiving leader last year with not even, I think, 544 yards. So Justin Fields had nobody over 550 yards receiving last season. That's what he's been dealing with. And like I said, first year was heavily Darnell Mooney was the guy, and that was mixing between him. I'm sure Andy Dalton was still there when in his rookie year, still between the two of them. Now he both, like I said, Fields last season, because this whole trade in my eyes is based around Justin Fields. They got out of #1 pick because they didn't want to take a quarterback because they believe in Justin Fields. They got DJ Moore back from Carolina as a proven number. Like, people, he might not be the most elite #1 receiver, but he is a #1 receiver, especially with the young guys with Darren Mooney, Chase Claypool, Equanimous St. Brown, Cole Kmet came on. Like, he has some receiving core, and then again, I think the number 9. They went back, but didn't go too far back. Gives them a chance to take an offensive tackle, like maybe a Skoronski if they want the versatility of him playing a guard as well. But more likely a Paris Johnson from Ohio State, the left tackle. Like, that's what you're getting. So when you give up what they gave up, like, #1 pick, this is the first time #1 overall pick has been traded since, I think, 2016, they were saying. So that's obviously a big, massive statement that they're making in Chicago, that Justin Fields, he is the guy. Justin Fields, you saw him last year with the rushing. He had over 1,000 yards rushing last season. He looked like, I'm pretty sure at one stage in the season, he was the leading rusher in the NFL. He's elite, he's elite ball skills, I guess, when he's on the ball. And that kind of versatility, when you saw again last year, he went, I think his rookie year, he had 7 touchdowns, 10 picks. Last year, he went up to 17 touchdowns and 11 picks. Was obviously 11. That's 11 turnovers in that kind of offense where you have a terrible offensive line, you had no weapons, your offensive scheme was terrible. It was basically just him getting bull rush every single play and hoping what he could make something of it. Now you can bring in a Paris Johnson, who obviously would take a year or so or whatever offensive lineman you more than likely take at 9. I don't think they take him by a defense at 9. I think this is something where you want to get Justin Fields the right setup as quick as you can, because you believe in him, because you think he can be the guy who you can develop his passing. You saw last year, he has the arm. He really does have arm talent. He can make most throws that any NFL quarterback you'd want to make, but he just needs the receivers. He just needs a better setup around him. And that's why I think getting, like, the number 9 is massive. Obviously, at 61, you could probably take maybe another wide receiver, or if they could go anywhere at number 61, it's the end of the second round. But not giving up too much, you're giving up number 1, which obviously would have been, for them, probably a Will Anderson from Alabama, or maybe not Jalen Carter anymore, because we don't know what that situation is going on, but how far he's going to drop, they could still end up getting him. But, like, it just gives me so much, because I really enjoyed Justin Fields last year. I liked him at Ohio State. I thought in the first year he should have been left to go in Chicago. He should have been given the reins straight away. Let him. I think you set him back by not starting him the entire year, his first year. He would have been even further along in his pass game this year. While now you have him going next year, you know what you have at a runner. He kind of in the sense of Lamar Jackson, but a bit heftier. He's going to run over guys more than Lamar will. But he has that kind of speed, and he can make guys miss in the open field. And what you can do with that in today's NFL, you take advantage straight away. Because as you get older, Justin Fields is going to his speed will degrade. He will start to get slower. He will have to trust his arm more. But you've seen with Lamar, the ceiling is just so much higher when you have a guy with that much speed, with that much playmaking. You can work, as you put receivers around him, which Lamar hasn't really got yet, but Justin Fields now, hopefully this is the start of it. Maybe they move this number 9 pick as well. Maybe they end up trying to go back again. I don't think so. Like I said, you can get offensive tackle 1 at 9 with the defensive guys who are going to go before him. The quarterbacks are going to go before at 9. And the teams like the Colts and Texans who are going to take a quarterback either way. This kind of ruins the Texans' tank for Bryce Young situation, but they'll figure out something. And then for the Carolina side of it now, because most of this is looking at obviously what Chicago did. I do love what they have going forward. The defense still has a lot they need to work on, but basically giving Fields the confidence that that is your guy. We're sticking with you. We're going to build around you rather than drafting. At number 1, it's hard not to draft quarterback. Even though you have the likes of Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, again, don't know what's happening there. But having Justin Fields now being told, this is your team. So you're only going to his third year. I think that's usually the biggest jump, 2 to 3. Like first year you struggle, whatever. Second year you kind of try and fix what you have. Third is where you think you need to come into your own. Coming into his own season with a DJ Moore and a Darnell Mooney, that's a pretty good young tandem to have at wide receiver, where both can play in the slot, both can play out wide, and they're both playmakers. And he has someone to trust. And like Cole Kmet came on last year, on the Carolina side of things, they more than likely locked themselves in to take a quarterback at number 1. They need to. Matt Corral got injured last year, so you don't know what you have with him. Obviously, Sam Darnold's not the guy. This is where they are now. They are now the Bryce Young team, or the CJ Stroud team, or the Anthony Richardson. Again, I had a video about Anthony Richardson, how well he did at the Combine, but you can't overlook what he did in college and the difference between what Bryce Young is now as a quarterback compared to what you think Anthony Richardson could be going forward. Or CJ Stroud I really like as well, but I think Bryce Young is the move, and that's where this kind of locks in Carolina at 1. They gave up a lot, and they still have a lot they need to put into their team, not their defense, but their team. They have a lot they need to do. This might be a rebuild, sadly. Like in most situations, when a team gets their franchise quarterback with the top pick, they're going to a terrible situation, kind of like Trevor Lawrence, what he did with Jacksonville, what he went into. Now Bryce Young's probably going to a similar situation with the Panthers, but that's where they are. Hopefully, they can figure out as quickly as they can figure out what they can put around him to make him succeed, because Bryce Young's an incredible quarterback. You don't want to see him in a situation where he's just in the dumps for years, and he'll make things happen, but you still need to put it around him. So massive trade. this completely shakes up the draft because now there's probably going to be even more movement try and get up to get an Anthony Richardson because I don't think he's going number one in that. And now you can see I guess the Bears with their immense amount of cap space have something to go forward with in free agency with all the money where they're going to be, because it's going to be building around Justin Fields where we didn't know what they were actually going to do. Would Justin Fields even be a starting quarterback? Now, in my eyes, Justin Fields is locked in as the quarterback for them, and this is going to be their team going forward. He's going to be the guy with the reins. Let me know what you think about this. Will there be any more trades? Did Carolina give up too much to get number one? Is Bryce Young that good? Should they have waited next year for Caleb Williams or Drake May or something like that? I don't think so. So I think it's a good move for Chicago. It's a very good move for Chicago. Look at all the capital they got. And they already have Justin Fields. So there's a kind of a win-win for Chicago. Maybe a win for the Panthers. Remains to be seen who they take at number one. But that's kind of where I land on it. So thank you for watching, and let me know what you think about the trade down below. And we'll see what else happens in the crazy NFL offseason, which hasn't even started yet, really.